Hey, and right now with me is Fence Post and Odin's Bats, and I am your host, Messi. I'll be introducing everyone here today, and I'll be also introducing the topics along with it. Now, we got some interesting, juicy stuff to talk about today. We will be starting on season 4 and season 5 statistics that had came in the Warriors Den on May 31st of 2018. They had revealed win-loss picks with 1v1s with the 2.5% players on cross console, making sure that every hero is doing okay and how they're holding up in the 1v1 duel so far. At the moment, I will pull it up. So, starting out with season 4, we have the sorry about this, man. Starting out with season 4, right now the number one was on the season 4, the one with the most win-loss was Peacekeeper at a 58% overall win over loss ratio, and along with that, number 2 was Shaman, and number 3 was Lawbringer. Now, to go down the whole list, if you guys would like to know, number 4 Shinobi. Number 4 Shinobi with a, oh wow, this actually gets pretty complicated, a 55% win. Shigoki with a 53, Nabushi 53, Adamusha 52, Raider 51, Warlord 51, Gladiator 51. Lots of numbers and lots of people, but a lot of people will try to hear it. Conquer another 51, Valkyrie 50, Berserker 50, Warden coming down to a 49. Centurion actually kind of low on a 49 as well. It's actually interesting. Then the last 3 stretch out from a Orochi 48%, Kensei 45%, and a Highlander with a 39. Usually it goes down to increments of about like 2 or 3, but then the Highlander just kind of kicks it down to a 6% down distance. Now again, this is season 4, before his entire rework, so please do take that in mind. What do you, Odinspell, what do you think about what was season 4 like?
Season 4, I mean, we've got the Shaman, we got the Aramusha. I mean, I feel that the statistics from that, in my opinion, I think Aramusha was probably one of the better performing characters just because he had that stun lock bug with the assassins and everyone was trying to figure out how to do it.
True.
And then, we got Shaman as well, so.
Yeah, Shaman being so high during all that, it's not really surprising since they just encountered that.
It's not surprising when they introduce a new character. I mean, statistically speaking, even if you go back to season 2, they introduced the Centurion and the Shinobi, their statistics were much higher, considering the fact everyone was trying to figure out how to counter them. And then they were, of course, overpowered because that's typically what they do. They release something severely overpowered, and then they nerf it down to where it should be. But even when the rework characters came out initially, they ended up performing better just because it was something new and people didn't know exactly what to do. So I think things will balance out a little bit better, let's say maybe next season.
We'll see. What do you think, Fence, about the whole season 4 statistics, and why do you think that, PK and Shaman being at top with Lawbringer, and Orochi, Kensei, and Highlander being at the worst, and so forth?
Honestly, I'm not too surprised by PK and Shaman being at the top because, that was, with Peacekeeper, that was around the time that people were still using the zone, and with Peacekeeper they'll always use zone feint and then light spam, which is common for most assassins. And then Shaman was extremely, I don't want to say overpowered, but she was strong when compared to the rest of the cast. And as someone who's played Highlander since the very beginning of his release, I'm not too surprised that he was so low because he had a high learning curve. Before his dodge, buff, which was his first buff, I believe. Before his dodge buff,
But yeah, man, I mean, like, Highlander did have, like, a pretty hard learning curve, wouldn't you say?
Anyway, his learning curve in the beginning was high, in my opinion. That was before his dodge buff in offensive stance. And I'm not surprised I'm not surprised at all that he ended up where he did. Because a lot of people could have found that the learning curve was too high, that he didn't do enough damage with offensive stance, and his second light, like his second change light, would, if you blocked it, it was a free guard break. That was fun. I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Can I ask you a question though? Coming from a Highlander main, do you think maybe they might have put his damage up a little bit too high now? Maybe reduce it by maybe 5?
Absolutely, not even 5. I think his damage. What in my opinion, they need to do is they need to revert his damage back to where it was, maybe increase or decrease the stamina cost a little bit, because it's also same with his lights. I think they should decrease the stamina cost for his offensive stance lights, because his offensive stance lights use more stamina than his offensive stance heavy.
Yeah, and it's pretty interesting how that all turned out. Everything.
But
continuing on though, yeah, then we weren't supposed to.
Sorry about that.
We weren't supposed to touch on the Highlander rework. We were supposed to touch on statistics, but let's make sure we keep it in line and that we don't get too far dragged off with our own characters. All right. Now continuing on with Season 5 statistics, just to save us some time, I'll put the notable heroes, the more popular ones, besides the top 3 and the least 3 in between. So, Season 5, obviously with the rework with Conqueror being introduced, he was number 1 at a win-loss ratio in duels of the 2.5 percentile players of all consoles, a 60% win-loss ratio. That's actually pretty exceptional. That's the highest it's since been.
I'm actually really surprised when I saw that it was Conqueror.
Yeah, but
this is Season 5, you said?
Season 5, yep. This is near the end of Season 5 after they collected everything. This, by the way, again, the end of each season. So this is all collected after the reworks have been introduced for the past 3 months. Next up was second Peacekeeper. Seems like she'll always be on the top somehow. Kensei with the rework coming in with a 56. I forgot to mention PK is a 57, not too far off. The more notable ones, Berserker being at a 54. Highlander, since we have discussed that so much in detail, is a 51. Lawbringers, there's so many of them. 49 at a win-loss. Ibushis, not many of them, but out there, my brothers, 46%, which isn't so alright. But again, I think this kind of actually shows, at least on my point, why the kick has an issue, but I'll talk about that later. Then the least 3, really, which surprises me. Number 3 to the least is Gladiator with a 45% win loss, Valkyrie with a 45% win loss, and a Orochi with a 40% win loss rate. Obviously, Orochi hasn't had his rework yet. It's only introduced in the start of Season 6, so not really surprising for me for Valk to be that low, Orochi to be that low, but for Gladiator to be that low. I don't believe that they really had a major rework, or not rework, but a major update on Gladiator. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's kind of odd that from Season 4 that this man, Gladiator, was at a 50% and then dropped down to a 45. It's all that versatility. Must be awkward. Must be the guard switch time. What do you think about that, Odins?
With the guard switch mechanic?
No, with the statistics in general, the win-loss matrix.
it's really not surprising at all, considering when you rework a hero, they do tend to do better just because people are adapting. We've had the Conquer rework now for this is the second season, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I am a bit surprised that he was the one that performed so well. Just because everyone thinks that Conquer's so slow, but what I really think it boils down to, especially in duels, is the fact that really a lot of them just have to go into all guard and they get that free unblockable off of it. So then again, I'm not really surprised by it at the same time.
I see what you mean. What do you think about it, Fence? That was really insightful. The new mechanic, probably with Conqueror's new mechanic. That was
I think that has a huge impact on why he was so high. I definitely do, and I think a lot of people would probably agree with me on that point. Conqueror was one of he had, I think, one of the strongest rework, besides Kensei. I shouldn't say the strongest, but definitely, out of all the rework heroes, definitely one of the strongest. But with Gladiator being so low, I am very surprised at that, because he has... Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I agree, because typically Gladiator's always been a good duelist.
Yeah, exactly. Gladiator I believe, is a very viable option with all matchups as far as I can tell.
Yeah, it's pretty decent, but with must be the new moves. Personally, I think it's the side dodge into the spammy side dodge into the shield bash, the quick one that always gets you free lights. I've played with Seraph of Hope.
Conquer, yeah.
Yes, I played with Seraph of Hope, and I mean, when it comes to competitive players, they play to win. They will 50-50 you to death if it means to get their win. And they have a different objective. They don't want to do mix-ups. They just want to, do the best and the most safe stuff. They need to win. They need to get that money. You know what
I mean?
Exactly. So wrapping that up, I'll just end with my opinion on this. Season 6 statistics. Given how drastically it changed, and going with the new metas, I think Orochi, he's not going to be in the bottom 3 anymore. He's obviously, I think, he won't be at top because that light spam will stop eventually. Already?
He'll definitely be mid tier.
I believe he'll be middle as well, but I believe he'll be mid low.
Yeah, I think he'll be mid low as well. Yeah. Yeah, I know, there's just fucking lots of commentary. Next up, speculations. Coming up with the... you fucking reordered it wrong, guys. Oh, no. I've said it wrong. Everyone. You can cut that out. You can cut that one out. Next up, custom game servers. You heard me. The same servers that they have put on Dominion, Elimination, Tribute, all that good stuff that makes NAT type basically not a thing anymore, will be coming to custom game servers either by announcing it at E3 and launching it most likely at the start of Season 7. It sounds lovely to not have to complain about your partner's really, really crappy NAT type when they host a custom game anymore, when they're hosting a tournaments and so forth, and you can just go on a regular elimination. It sounds great to me. It's going to make the community better, I think. What do you guys think? Odin's bet?
I think it's going to be great because, people love custom games, and it gets really annoying disconnecting from custom games.
Agreed. What about you, Fence?
Oh, I think universally everyone would agree with. It's definitely going to be an improvement to the game.
I also agree 100%. I don't know how this can go wrong besides it being crappy servers, but if it's kind of like the introduction from the other servers, give it some time, it'll turn out great. Now, continuing on from custom game servers, we now hit on the new trailer that they had launched out with the past, present, and future that Mr. Luke and the Warriors Den had explained. They also posted it on their YouTube channel in For Honor as well if you want to check it out. It showed basically the whole overall process they had starting the game, the middle of the game, and showed a little bit of a sneak peek at the end. Now, they have deleted this off their channel, but it has been re-uploaded via another source, another channel, with the a female warden's face being shown. And obviously, some speculations are going to come out. Who is this girl? Is it some random girl? Is some random knight that came in to the sandy place? Or is it Apollyon? Which is a very interesting speculation on my part that I've heard. You know, young Apollyon going to the deserts to fight more. Maybe. That sounds really interesting to me. But this, all of this is just overwhelmingly thrown about, just thrown to the side when the end of the past, present, and future trailer was shown, when a female warden was cocked back against a curved sword with foreign armor on a glove that was only shown. The sword and the glove were only shown against the warden, and that had everyone tripping. Because this is not a character we recognize. This is a new hero. This is somebody we haven't seen before. So there's already speculations about where they're coming from, who they are. Is it mercenaries? Are they Persians, Chinese, everywhere? So we're going to examine some of the facts and some of the ideas that have been tossed around. Odins, would you want to toss out anything that you've discovered and your personal opinion?
Not so much a discovery, but everybody's been crazing about a possible new faction, or maybe it's just going to be additions to the roster. I've been thinking the trailer was in a desert setting, right? If they do choose to bring in, let's say, a faction like that, make it to where they do an extension basically to the campaign, and they make it to where the three factions have to achieve peace to fight a new adversary, because this empire is going to be huge. So I think there's a lot that they could do with it, because there's a lot of different great warriors from specifically that region alone. So,
all right, so an expansion on the current roster with kind of related heroes. I can kind of see that. What about you, Fence?
I absolutely agree. It would be very interesting and very fresh, in my opinion, to see. It's a There's so many possibilities just from the one split-second teaser that everyone paid attention to. The new sword, the beach, the possible beach or desert. Honestly, I think it will be awesome to find out, and it's just all very interesting. And there's so much you can take with it. There are people going from the Ottomans to the Byzantine to my personal favorite, possible pirates, but a lot of people are disagreeing with that, and possible even the Chinese. Like, I think there's a lot you could go on from there.
I do agree. There's a lot I can go on. And let's see, I have some ideas listed down that some people had, and these are most likely very possible ideas. There are a new mercenary faction that, since they may not want to affect the faction war going on with the Viking Samurai Knights, that they will just add new people in, just kind of on the sideline for everyone to fight, just whoever has the highest bid. Interesting. New faction, a general, just literally put in a new whole fourth column on the character roster, and having it affect the faction war, maybe, or just kind of being a standby at the moment, is another idea. And again, explained by Odins, is expanding on the roster with new characters that are somewhat related, which sounds like a good idea, but more realistically, I think they're probably going to go with just a new faction in general, with mercenaries. Again, just a neutral faction that will affect nothing with the faction war, but be somewhat related to the current heroes, such as, from what I've heard from an interesting video on YouTube, link in the description, would be Byzantines. being added to the Knights. I personally think Persia. And Japan, the samurais contacting China would be a very interesting thing. And with that speculation of the Dao. Now, I'm not any sword expert, but that guard doesn't look Chinese to me. That hand, however, it does look Persian and or Ming Dynasty-ish from China. And it's interesting to see, but what China used, the curved swords, they called them daos. I don't believe they were that heavy. Falchions made that heavy work in probably other areas besides China, but I may be wrong. That's just my idea. I've practiced with swords, so forth. Usually they have broadswords and everything in China. Not really anything curved. That goes more Japan. Would you guys like to elaborate just a little bit more on any nations that they may be from?
You see, Persia or the Byzantine Empire could be very possible. Just because the style that
Sorry, go ahead.
No. Let's argue
those weapons look. I mean, we've only seen one weapon though, too. I mean, and maybe he plays into the faction a different way, kind of similar to how the Highlander does to the Vikings. He doesn't really have any ties to the Vikings, but he helps the Vikings due to some debt or something like that. I think it's just gonna be really interesting to see how it plays out.
Interesting. Yeah. What about you, Fens? Any possible nationalities, locations?
Well, there are two things. I can either hope or I can, believe what I think it's going to be. Honestly, I believe it's going to be Persians, Middle Eastern. I don't think they're going to touch on the Chinese because I feel like those fighting techniques or styles. I am nowhere near an expert on fighting techniques for different nationalities, but I believe that they will be similar. If it was Chinese, they would be similar to the samurai that we already have. What I do believe it's going Middle Eastern. What I hope, is pirates, but I don't think that's going to happen.
I mean, pirates may be part of mercenaries, who know. That'd be interesting for them to have guns over.
Yeah,
you're really gunning for a pirate.
I really am. That will become my new main. I will drop Highlander. Just go right for the pirate.
All the Highlander mains are going to be pissed at you for saying that. That is angry, man.
That's okay. I'll take them. But I do not think they will make a new faction. Or if they do make a new faction, they will not implement them into the faction war. Maybe they'll make a new faction for those who do not wish to participate in the faction war. Things like that.
I see what you mean. Well, these are really interesting ideas. I think we got a little bit of our full-on conspiracy tinfoil hats on for honor. So along with all that, if you guys have any other ideas, if you want to just comment down in the section below and fill in with maybe a little bit more detail on what we went on, or if you have another crazy idea that it could be something else that made more sense, and please let us know. The more the community knows, the more the community shares, the more the community talks, the better the community gets. I will tell you that right now. So thank you all. Thank you, Fence. Thank you, Odin's Bed, for listening. Thank you all for listening to our rambling for such a long time. I hope we touched on everything to everyone's liking. Yeah. Clan, Legion of the Fallen, our YouTube channel. Obviously, please subscribe. Please leave a like down below if you did like the video, and please support us on our not Patreon. We'd love to have any kind of support. Peace.